The first strike came quietly, almost like a test. The Galactic Empire wanted to see if humans were truly as bold as their envoy had claimed. On the edge of known space there was a small human colony. It was not rich, not powerful, just a quiet world with farms, factories, and families. The Empire sent a fleet of 30 warships. They expected the humans to panic, to surrender quickly. The Empire commander stood on his bridge, grinning. "This will be over in a day," he said. "Humans only bark. They don't bite." The fleet entered orbit, their cannons glowing. Warnings were broadcast. "Surrender your colony. You belong to the Empire now." The people of the colony heard the message. They were afraid, but they did not beg. Instead, they sent out a single transmission toward Earth, short, sharp, and encrypted. After that, they fell silent. The Empire expected a reply. They expected humans to plead for mercy. But no reply came. The colony remained calm, as if waiting for something. The commander grew impatient. "Destroy their defenses," he ordered. His ships fired, wiping out the colony's satellites and defense towers. Yet the humans still said nothing. The silence unsettled the crew. It was like striking a wild animal, yet hearing no sound, not even a growl. Days passed. The Empire tightened its grip, expecting Earth to come rushing with ambassadors and peace offers. But Earth said nothing. The colony, half ruined, still refused to speak. In the council chambers, alien leaders laughed. "See," one said, "humans talk big, but when fire rains they hide." Another added, "That envoy's words were just noise. They cannot fight us." But far from the chambers, deep unease began to spread in the military ranks. Then came the first disappearance. The same fleet of 30 ships that had attacked the colony set course for a nearby sector. The commander wanted to move on, to show dominance in multiple human systems. But halfway through their journey, all 30 ships vanished. No distress call. No wreckage. No survivors. They were simply gone, as if erased from the stars. At first, the Empire claimed it was a malfunction, maybe an accident with faster-than-light drives. But other fleets began whispering. 30 warships do not just vanish. Some officers compared it to a candle suddenly blown out. No warning. No smoke. Just darkness. Reports reached the council. One alien leader slammed his hand on the table. "Lies. Humans are not capable of such a strike." But another leader, quieter and older, whispered, "I told you. We should not wake them." The room turned on him with mockery, calling him superstitious. Yet the seed of doubt had been planted. In the outer rim, patrols began to vanish too. Scouts sent to watch human systems would leave but never return. One ship did return, though, barely. Its hull was torn apart, its engines burned black. The captain of that patrol was dragged before the high commander. His eyes were wide, his voice broken. "They were shadows," he whispered. "We didn't see them coming. Our scanners showed nothing, empty space. Then, suddenly, fire everywhere. Our ships were cut apart in seconds." "What ships?" the high commander roared. The captain's lips trembled. "Human ships. But they were different. Silent. Cold. They moved like ghosts." The high commander struck the table. "Nonsense. Humans do not have such power." But when the captain was dismissed, whispers spread among the staff. They had seen the man's eyes, he wasn't lying. He was haunted. Meanwhile, Earth remained silent. No messages. No demands. No declarations of war. The silence was worse than open conflict. It was like staring into a dark forest after hearing a twig snap. You knew something was there, but you couldn't see it. The Empire grew restless. Fleets were doubled. Patrols grew thicker. Yet the more they searched, the less they found. It was as if the humans had melted into the void. One admiral compared it to hunting smoke. "You can wave your hand through it," he muttered, "but you can never grasp it." Weeks later, another fleet vanished. This time it was 50 warships. They had been sent to secure trade routes near human space. The fleet sent one last report, all clear. No human activity detected. That was their final message. After that, silence. When search parties were dispatched, they found nothing. No debris, no signals. It was as if the fleet had never existed. Now fear began to creep into the Empire. Even the most arrogant commanders could not deny the truth. Something was happening. Something deliberate. In secret meetings, analysts pieced together fragments of intercepted human signals. The codes, the patterns, they all told the same story. Mobilization, coordination, strike orders. "They are not reacting," one analyst whispered. "They are planning. Step by step." The realization was chilling. Humanity was not panicking. Humanity was not negotiating. Humanity was preparing. The council tried to calm the panic with speeches. They are only humans. They bluff, they trick, they play with shadows. But they cannot fight a real war. Yet in the corners of every chamber, doubts grew. Some remembered the human envoy standing tall in the hall, warning them with quiet certainty. If war comes, your only choice is to run. At the time it had sounded laughable. Now it echoed like prophecy. In the dark, in places the Empire's scanners could not reach, the human fleet was waiting. Old warships, long hidden, now sailed again. New weapons, silent and sharp, had been perfected in secret. The humans had spoken their warning. The Empire ignored it. And soon they would learn that silence was not weakness. It was the sound of a predator stalking its prey. The Empire had always believed in numbers. More ships. More soldiers. More firepower. That was how they crushed weaker civilizations. But against humans, numbers began to mean nothing. It started with whispers from the outer sectors. Patrols reported strange sightings, shadows moving between stars. At first, officers dismissed them as tricks of scanners, false readings, or sensor malfunctions. But the sightings grew. Ghost ships, some called them. Dark shapes that appeared for a heartbeat, then vanished again. Ships with no heat, no signal, no engine flare, moving as if the void itself carried them. One scout's final message trembled through static before being cut off. "They're watching us. There." Then silence. The High Commander grew furious. He summoned his admirals. "Enough of these ghost stories. Humans do not have such technology. You are letting fear cloud your duty." But fear was already spreading. Captains hesitated to patrol human space. Crews spoke in hushed voices about hunters in the dark. The Empire soon dispatched a fleet of 80 warships, enough, they thought, to crush any resistance. The fleet entered a sector where human signals had last been traced. For hours nothing happened. "See," the admiral boasted. "No humans here. Only empty space." Then the shadows came. Human warships burst from the dark like predators. Their engines barely lit, their weapons already locked. The first salvo tore through 10 Empire cruisers before they even raised shields. The humans didn't announce themselves. They didn't demand surrender. They didn't hesitate. They attacked with perfect precision. Every Empire ship that tried to flee found itself cut down. Missiles hunted them through the void, striking cleanly, never missing. Beams of light sliced through hulls like paper. Within minutes, half the fleet was gone. The admiral screamed for reinforcements. His transmission carried only terror. "They see everything. They move faster, strike sharper, we can't." The message ended in static. Hours later the Empire sent scouts. They found nothing but wreckage floating in silence. The humans were already gone. Survivors of the ambush were dragged before the council. Their reports were shaking, broken, filled with fear. "They didn't fight like us," one survivor said. "They hunted. Every move they made was planned. They knew exactly where to strike." Another added, voice trembling, "We couldn't even see them coming. They were there 1 second, and then death." The council chamber fell into silence. Even the loudest voices of arrogance wavered. But still, the High Commander slammed his fist. "Lies. Panic. Humans cannot outmatch the Empire." Yet his words felt weaker now. Even he could not erase the fear in the room. More fleets were lost in the following weeks. Some destroyed in open ambushes. Others vanished completely, leaving behind no sign at all. The pattern was clear. The humans were not fighting for defense. They were hunting. They struck where the Empire felt strongest, and they left no survivors when they chose to. Entire systems went dark. Empire scientists worked day and night, trying to understand the weapons recovered from wreckage. What they found unsettled them. "These are not new designs," one whispered. "These weapons, they are old." The council demanded answers. "What do you mean old?" The scientist looked pale. "The humans built them long ago. Long before they joined the council. They have been preparing for centuries. Their war doctrine was never for defense, it was for annihilation." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some leaders shouted for negotiation. Others demanded full war. But a quiet dread filled the room. Humans had been ready all along. In the outer colonies, panic began to spread. Merchants refused to travel near human space. Civilian worlds demanded protection. Refugees whispered of fleets that vanished, of humans who never spoke before they struck. The legend of ghost fleets grew. Children in alien cities whispered bedtime tales. "If you see shadows in the stars, it's already too late." The Empire tried to answer with overwhelming power. They sent fleets of hundreds of warships into human space, determined to burn Earth itself if necessary. But those fleets never reached their target. Instead, they found themselves surrounded, cut apart, shattered in perfect silence. Every battle was the same. Humans appeared from nowhere, struck without mercy, and vanished into the dark before reinforcements arrived. On one captured transmission, a human voice was finally heard for the first time in weeks. It was cold, sharp, and without pity. "You were warned. Run." The Empire froze. It was the same words the envoy had spoken in the council. Now, even the most arrogant alien leaders began to question everything. They had laughed when the human envoy gave his warning. They had dismissed humans as weak, as dreamers, as cowards. But now fleets burned, sectors fell silent, and the shadows grew closer. The galaxy began to wonder. What if the humans had never shown their true face before? What if the envoy's warning was not a threat, but a simple truth? In the void, a massive fleet of human warships moved silently. Their engines glowed faintly, their weapons ready. The admiral stood on the bridge, his eyes cold. "The hunt begins," he said. And the shadows spread across the stars. The Galactic Empire was built on pride. For centuries they believed no enemy could match their fleets, their weapons, or their discipline. But after weeks of silence and ambushes, that pride began to crumble. Too many fleets had vanished. Too many battles had ended in sudden slaughter. Now the council demanded answers. A secret chamber was filled with the Empire's best minds, scientists, historians, and strategists. They studied fragments of human technology taken from wreckage after ambushes. The room was tense. Screens glowed with data. Weapons lay dismantled on the tables. At last the chief scientist spoke, his voice heavy. "These are not prototypes. These are not experiments. They are perfected designs." The council leader frowned. "Explain." "These weapons, these ships, they are not new. They are ancient. Some of these blueprints are centuries old. The humans built them long before they joined the council. Long before they pretended to be harmless." The chamber erupted in disbelief. "Impossible," shouted one leader. "Why would they hide such technology?" demanded another. The scientist leaned forward, his eyes grim. "Because they never stopped preparing. Even in peace they built for war. And they built for one purpose, to fight an enemy like us." Whispers spread across the chamber. One old historian rose, trembling. He carried dusty records long ignored. "There are legends," he said softly, "of Earth's past. We never believed them. We thought they were myths." The chamber grew quiet as he unrolled ancient texts. They spoke of Earth's endless wars, tribes, nations, empires, all rising and falling in blood. "Unlike other worlds," the historian whispered, "humans did not avoid conflict. They thrived in it. They learned from it. Every century they built stronger weapons. Every generation they grew sharper. War is not rare to them. War is part of their nature." The council sat in stunned silence. For the first time, the myth of the peaceful, weak human shattered. In military command centers, admirals studied the human attacks again and again. "They don't fight like us," one admitted. "They don't line up their fleets for open battle. They strike from shadows, they bleed us slowly, and when we are weak, they finish us." Another admiral added, voice shaking, "It is not war to them. It is hunting." The realization spread through the Empire like poison. Humans were not improvising. They were following doctrines written long before they ever met aliens. Meanwhile, human fleets continued their silent campaign. Empire colonies on the edges of human space went dark, one after another. Entire mining operations disappeared, leaving only burning skies. Refugees spoke of human war machines that moved like ghosts, ships that struck and vanished, armies that never spoke, only killed. One survivor described it in terror. "They don't fight for land. They don't fight for wealth. They fight to erase their enemy. To leave nothing standing." The Empire's propaganda machine tried to calm the people. They broadcast messages claiming humans were desperate, that the Empire was in control. But fear was stronger than lies. Merchants refused to travel. Soldiers deserted. Civilians whispered in the streets. Children repeated a chilling rhyme. "If you see a shadow in the stars, it's already too late." The High Commander tried to rally the fleets. "We are the Empire," he roared. "We have crushed hundreds of worlds. We will crush Earth too." But even as he spoke, new reports came in. Another fleet destroyed. Another colony lost. Another system gone silent. His words carried no weight anymore. His officers knew the truth. Numbers meant nothing against hunters who always struck first. One desperate meeting was held in secret. Admirals, scientists, and governors gathered. "What do the humans want?" someone demanded. "Why don't they negotiate?" asked another. "Why won't they speak?" The scientist who had studied the wreckage answered coldly. "They already told us what they wanted. They told us in the council chamber." The room fell silent. Everyone remembered the human envoy's words. "If war comes, your only choice will be to run." The Empire tried to send diplomats. Ships carried messages of peace, of offers to talk. But none returned. The humans did not answer. The humans did not listen. Instead, one transmission came back. It was short. It was cold. Too late. Far from the Empire's borders, in the dark void, the human fleet gathered. Thousands of warships floated in silence. Their weapons glowed faintly, their engines whispered like predators breathing in the night. On the flagship's bridge, the admiral stood before his officers. His voice was calm, steady, merciless. "For centuries they believed we were weak. They thought we were dreamers. They thought we would kneel. They were wrong." The officers stood silently, their eyes burning with cold fire. The admiral raised his hand, giving the only command they had been waiting for. "Begin the offensive." And so, the human fleet moved. Not for defense. Not for negotiation. But for war, planned, precise, and absolute. The galaxy would soon learn the truth. Humanity had been preparing not for survival, but for dominance. The night sky above the human colony of Vega Prime looked calm. Stars shone like scattered diamonds, and the people lived their lives quietly, unaware of what was about to come. Far beyond that calm sky, fleets were moving, alien fleets under the banner of the Galactic Empire. The Empire's admirals had laughed at the warnings from Earth. They told their soldiers, "Humans bark like animals, but they cannot bite. Their fleets are old. Their colonies are weak. Tonight we end their little game." Thousands of alien ships jumped into orbit over Vega Prime. The colony alarms screamed through the streets. Mothers grabbed their children. Soldiers ran to defense posts. But the humans knew this attack was coming. Because Earth had planned it. Hidden beneath the planet's surface, deep in fortified bunkers, human commanders waited. They had let the Empire come close, pretending weakness. The human envoy's words, "Run," were not just a warning. They were a trap. The alien commander of the fleet opened a channel to the planet. His voice echoed across the colony. "Humans of Vega Prime. You are surrounded. Surrender your weapons, your ships, and your pride. Bow before the Empire, and we may let some of you live." There was silence. Then, from the planet's defense grid, a single human voice replied. "Request received. Our answer is ready." For a moment the aliens laughed. Then the sky itself split apart. From behind Vega's moon, vast shadows emerged. Human warships. Not small, outdated ships like the aliens expected, but massive, angular giants of steel and fire. Their hulls bore no names, only numbers. These were not civilian vessels. These were war machines, built in secret, waiting for the Empire to strike first. The alien commander's laughter died in his throat. "Impossible. These ships, they do not exist in any registry." The humans did not waste words. They attacked. The first volley lit the black sky. Dozens of alien ships burned instantly, their shields shredded by weapons the Empire had never seen before. Beams of light carved through battleships. Missiles cut through entire formations. Explosions shook the stars as the Empire's mighty fleet was torn apart in the opening seconds. On the ground, civilians watched in awe. Children stood on rooftops, their eyes wide as human ships fought like titans above. For generations they had been told humanity was weak. Tonight they saw the truth. The alien fleet tried to regroup, but panic spread faster than orders. Soldiers screamed through open channels. Captains shouted for retreat, but their jump drives were disabled by human jammers. They were trapped. The alien commander, his ship shaking under fire, demanded, "How? How do humans have such weapons? Such ships?" His officers had no answers. Fear covered their faces. Then, across every frequency, a message broke through. A human commander's voice, calm and sharp like steel. "You should have listened when we warned you. We told you to run." The humans pressed their attack. Ship after ship exploded, lighting the night. For every human loss, 10 alien vessels were destroyed. The Empire's proud fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, was reduced to wreckage in hours. On the Council's distant world, news arrived quickly. Spies sent urgent messages. Council leaders sat frozen in disbelief. The Empire had boasted it would crush the humans easily. Now their fleet screamed for help that would never come. The alien ambassadors shouted in panic. How can this be? Humans do not have fleets of this scale. They were never recorded in any archive. But the truth was simple, the archives never mattered. Humanity had hidden its strength for years, building silently, waiting patiently. And when the first blow finally came, the galaxy realized something terrible. Humans did not bluff. Humans did not beg. Humans had prepared. Above Vega Prime, the last alien battleship tried to flee. Its engines roared, but a human warship cut across its path. The human commander gave the same warning once more, cold and final. Run. Then the battleship was reduced to dust. The war had begun, and the galaxy had just seen the first spark. The ruins of Vega Prime's battle still burned in space. Alien wreckage floated like shattered bones, drifting silently among the stars. What was once the pride of the Empire, its fleet of domination, was now scattered ashes. Across the galaxy, whispers spread faster than light. Traitors, spies, refugees, all carried the same words: the humans fought back, and they won. In the Galactic Council chambers, fear grew like fire in dry grass. Ambassadors shouted over one another. Some demanded peace, some demanded war, and some begged for silence. The council leaders slammed a clawed hand on the table. This is impossible. Humans were weak. They never had such fleets. Where did these ships come from? No one had an answer. But deep inside, they all remembered the human envoy's chilling words: if war comes, your only choice is to run. Far from the council, the human war machine awakened fully. Earth had been silent for decades, but silence was not weakness. While the galaxy mocked them, humanity built in shadows. Entire fleets hidden under moons. Shipyards buried in asteroid belts. Weapons stored in forgotten stations. Now one by one those fleets lit their engines. From Jupiter's orbit. From Saturn's rings. From the frozen mines of Pluto. From colonies the galaxy never even knew existed. Human warships rose in numbers that no spy report had ever predicted. Thousands. Tens of thousands. And they were not slow, outdated relics. They were sleek, powerful, and armed with weapons the galaxy had no name for. An admiral aboard the flagship Vigilant Dawn gave the order: signal all fleets. The council wanted war. The Empire brought war. Now humanity will finish it. The Empire tried to gather new fleets. Across their worlds, ships were pulled from dry dock, soldiers pushed into service, and propaganda filled the skies. The humans are few. We will break them in one final strike. But fear whispered in every barack. Every soldier remembered Vega Prime. They remembered the human voice on every channel: run. When the Empire's second fleet clashed with humanity, the result was worse than the first. Human ships appeared like ghosts, jumping into battle zones with terrifying precision. Alien tactics, used for centuries, crumbled instantly. Their formations broke. Their weapons bounced harmlessly against human shields. And for every alien ship destroyed, the humans pushed deeper into enemy space. On one Empire world, the governor tried to rally his people. He stood before millions, shouting, "The humans cannot reach us here. We are safe." Moments later, the sky turned black. Human warships appeared above the city, their shadows covering the sun. The governor's words died on his tongue. His people screamed. The war had come to their doorstep. The humans did not slaughter civilians. They did not burn the cities. They destroyed only military targets, leaving one message broadcast on every frequency: you should have run. Back in the council, chaos became despair. The leaders who once laughed at Earth now begged for truce. One ambassador cried, "Send a message to Earth, offer peace, surrender, anything. We must stop this before it is too late." But when the council sent their plea, Earth's answer was cold. "You ignored our warnings. You mocked our blood. Now you will understand what it means to awaken humanity's wrath." The war turned into fire. Human fleets moved like storms, crushing resistance planet by planet. The Empire, once feared across the stars, now burned under the advance of a species it had never respected. Alien historians would later write that this was the moment the galaxy changed forever. Not because of the battles. Not because of the destruction. But because everyone learned the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were not harmless. Humans remembered every insult, every betrayal, every laugh at their expense. And when they finally struck back, they struck harder than any empire in history. The final scene was in the council itself. The great chamber, once filled with arrogance and laughter, stood silent. The human envoy who once warned them returned, walking slowly to the center of the hall. Alien leaders lowered their heads. None dared meet his eyes. He spoke simply, his voice calm, but every word heavy like stone. We warned you. We told you to run. You chose to stay. Now you will live in the shadow of humanity. Remember this lesson well, because Earth does not give second chances." The chamber was silent. No one laughed. And so, the galaxy entered a new age, an age where the stars no longer feared the Empire. They feared the humans. The grand chambers of the Galactic Council echoed with laughter. Dozens of alien leaders, draped in robes of power, sat around the shining crystal tables. Their voices rose in mocking tones, and every word was directed at a single figure. A lone human envoy standing at the center. "Humans are weak," one alien sneered. His skin glowed faintly in the chamber lights. "They have never fought a true war. Not like us." Another added, "Their history is full of small tribal battles, nothing more. And their fleets? Pathetic." The chamber filled with harsh laughter, echoes bouncing from the high ceilings. The words cut through the silence, striking at humanity's pride. Yet the human envoy did not move. He stood tall, his face calm, his eyes cold. The Empire's high commander rose, his armor shining. His voice thundered through the chamber. "The Empire has crushed countless species. We never faced humans in battle because they were never worth our time. Their fleets never dared challenge us. And they never will." More laughter followed. Some alien leaders slapped their hands against the table as if enjoying a grand joke. Others smirked, speaking in whispers about how Earth had begged for trade, how Earth had begged for recognition, but never once showed strength. The human envoy finally raised his head. His voice was calm, but it carried across the entire chamber like steel striking stone. "You don't know us," he said. "You think we are weak because you have never fought us. But if war comes, your only choice will be to run." The words hung in the air, sharp and heavy. For a brief moment, the chamber fell into silence. Then the aliens burst into even louder laughter. "Run? From humans?" One scoffed. "They dream of glory," another mocked. "They think too highly of themselves," said a third. The High Commander sneered. "Humans, you are nothing. When the Empire moves, you will not fight, you will kneel." But the envoy's expression never changed. His eyes swept across the hall, cold and unblinking. Finally he said only one sentence. "You were warned." Then he turned and walked out of the chamber, his footsteps echoing on the polished floor. The council kept laughing, but some of the younger aides and guards shifted uncomfortably. There had been something in his tone, not arrogance, not bluffing. Something colder. Something final. That very night, strange signals began to spread across the stars. Empire spies intercepted them first. At first, the transmissions appeared meaningless, streams of numbers, bursts of sound, strange coded pulses. But the more the spies studied them, the more unsettled they became. "These are military codes," whispered one analyst, staring at the glowing symbols. "Old, very old." The codes were traced back to Earth, but no one had seen such encryption in centuries. The language was sharp, complex, and terrifyingly efficient. Every line of code carried precision, every signal carried purpose. Empire scientists grew nervous. They had never seen humans share such transmissions before. One message repeated across the systems, breaking through every layer of interference. Mobilization. The word spread through the Empire like fire through dry grass. Fleets on the edge of human space reported unusual activity. Human ships that once moved openly now disappeared into dark sectors, vanishing from scanners. Civilian traffic thinned as if every human settlement had suddenly gone silent. At first the Empire laughed it off. "Empty threats," the commanders said. "They want to scare us. They want to look strong." But the signals did not stop. More codes spread, sharper and more encrypted each day. Some contained strange diagrams, battle formations, weapon signatures, orbital strike patterns. All were stamped with the same human seal, an eagle spreading its wings, an old emblem of Earth. A veteran commander studied the codes late one night. His claws tapped against the metal table as he leaned forward. His aides asked what troubled him. "These plans," he whispered, his voice shaking. "These are not new. These are ancient. Humans have carried these war plans for centuries." The aides froze. But why would they keep them hidden? The commander's eyes narrowed. Because they never needed to use them. Until now. In the outer colonies, rumors began to grow. Traders spoke of human warships moving silently through dark space, their engines running cold, their signals cloaked. Small patrols vanished without a trace. One frightened scout ship returned with a broken crew. Their captain's face was pale, his voice unsteady as he gave his report. They didn't fire warning shots. They didn't speak. They didn't even hesitate. They moved like hunters. And then, they were gone. The Empire dismissed it as cowardice, as exaggeration. But deep inside their ranks, whispers began to spread. Perhaps the envoy's warning was not a bluff. Perhaps humanity had been waiting. Perhaps the galaxy had just woken something it could not control. In the shadows of deep space, beyond the reach of alien scanners, a massive fleet stirred. Warships older than the Council itself powered their engines for the first time in centuries. Their hulls bore scars of forgotten battles. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. On the lead ship, a human admiral watched the stars. His voice was low, but it carried the weight of Earth's fury. They laughed. They mocked. Now they will learn. A single command echoed through the fleet. Prepare for war.